Well, it's been a minute. If you have been following me for a while, you'll probably notice that I've been a bit quiet and things have changed a little bit. So the name of this podcast has changed. My entire focus has changed. And in many ways, this podcast episode represents a new chapter. But before we talk about where we're going, I think it's really important to talk about where we've been. Because if you followed my work for any length of time, you'd know that I spent most of my career working in branding, marketing, business growth, and entrepreneurship. I've worked with startups. I've worked with global brands. I've built the Tilt Creative Agency. I've launched communities. I have created courses, events, programs, workshops, podcasts, newsletters, videos, and everything in between. And if I'm being completely honest, for a long time, I thought that success came from doing more projects, more platforms, more content, more offers, more opportunities, more complexity. But over the last few years, while I was building Tilt Nexus, I realized that something fundamentally changed in the way that I looked at business performance and life itself. The thing that sits underneath everything isn't marketing. It isn't branding. It isn't sales. It isn't productivity. It's behavior, human behavior. Because every result we create starts with a decision. Every business strategy succeeds or fails because of decisions. Every purchase is a decision. Every habit is a decision that is repeated over time. Every relationship is shaped by decisions. Every career is built on decisions. And the more I studied what drives those decisions, the more I realized that behavior sits almost at the center of everything. So when someone says that they want to lose weight, but they doesn't exercise, that's behavior. When a founder knows exactly what they need to do, but they keep procrastinating, that's behavior. When somebody buys a product that they don't need, that's behavior. When a team resists change, when a customer remains loyal, when an entrepreneur keeps getting stuck in the same cycle over and over again, that's behavior. And once you start looking through that with this lens, you begin to realize that the challenges that we face aren't information problems, they're behavioral problems. So most people don't need more information. Most people already know we should exercise. They already know that they should start saving money. They already know that they should follow up with their prospects. They already know that they should finish the project. They already know that they should stop scrolling social media at midnight. Information isn't the problem. The gap between knowing and doing is the problem. And that's where behavior lives. So over the last few years, I've become increasingly fascinated by that science between that gap. Why do people make irrational decisions? Why do intelligent people self-sabotage? Why are habits so difficult to change? Why does confidence seem to disappear when we need it the most? Why do some people thrive under pressure while others collapse? Why do consumers buy one product over another? Why do some businesses grow effortlessly while others struggle despite doing all the right things? And perhaps most importantly, can we design better outcomes by understanding the behavior more deeply? So those questions led me down a very fascinating rabbit hole. Psychology, behavioral economics, neuroscience, decision science, consumer behavior, habit formation, performance psychology, motivation, attention, ADHD, cognitive bias, persuasion, influence. And ultimately, that's why my work and this podcast has now evolved. The old version of this podcast was primarily focused on businesses, marketing, branding, and entrepreneurship. And don't get me wrong, we're still going to be talking about those things a lot, but we're going to go deeper now. Instead of only discussing tactics, we're going to explore the psychology that sits beneath those tactics. Instead of discussing business growth, we're going to explore the behaviors that create that growth. Instead of only asking what works, we're going to ask why it works. Because when you understand why people behave the way they do, you start to see the world a little bit differently. You start to understand your customers differently. You start to understand your team differently. You start to understand your partner differently. You start to understand yourself differently. And that's what this podcast is becoming, a place to explore human behavior and its impact on business, performance, leadership, entrepreneurship, productivity, and everyday life. Some episodes will be practical, some episodes will be thought-provoking, some episodes may even challenge assumptions you've held for years. Others may simply give you a new lens through which to view a problem. We'll talk about confidence, motivation, decision-making, ADHD, marketing psychology, consumer behavior, productivity, habits, leadership, influence, attention, focus, lack of focus, business strategy, and occasionally we'll go down some very interesting rabbit holes together. What I can promise is this: the goal isn't to tell you what to think. The goal is to just help you think better. Because better thinking tends to lead to better decisions, and better decisions lead to better outcomes. So whether that's in your business, your career, your relationships, your health, your personal growth. So If you've been here since the beginning, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the journey. Thank you for supporting Tilt Nexus. Thank you for following me down the million rabbit holes. And thank you for evolving alongside me. And if you're new, welcome. I'm genuinely excited for what's ahead. This next chapter is going to be focused on understanding behavior, improving performance, and helping people make better decisions in a world that is increasingly designed to distract us. So wherever you're listening from, whether you're on a walk, driving to work, sitting in the office, or simply taking a moment to yourself, thank you for spending your time with me. This is the Stop Guessing podcast, and I am your host, Désiré Mirelux. And I cannot wait to explore these ideas with you. I'll see you in the next episode.